Hi and welcome. In this video I want to show you how you can get started with Docker Volumes. Docker Volumes, as you may know, helps you to store persistent data, seeing that Docker containers do not store data persistently. Docker Volumes are also very helpful when it comes to sharing data between different containers. Stay tuned to learn more. First, let's see if we have any volumes created already. To do that, you just simply execute the command docker volume ls and let's hit enter, and you see there is currently no volumes that exist on my local machine. If we want to create a Docker volume, you would just type in the command docker volume create and give it a name. I will just call it data directory and hit enter. And if we now are running the docker volume ls command again, you will see that our volume has successfully been created. If you want to see where the volume exists on your local machine, you can do a docker inspect and give it the volume name, data directory or data dir, and then we'll see here the mount point is here on your local machine. So we can take a look at this. If I copy this, and we need to run this as sudo. So I do a sudo ls and let's paste the mount point in here, and I hit enter. It's prompting me for my password, but you see the directory is currently empty. Now next, let's go ahead and just create a very simple text file. I'll just do an echo. This is a message from container 1, and I'll pipe this into input message.txt. And that's all I will do right now. I'll hit enter. Let's check. Here's my input message.txt, and let's go ahead and move that into our mount point directory. To move the file over into our mount point directory, we just simply run a copy. So we need to do a sudo again, copy input message text, and then we want to copy it over into this directory. So we'll just copy and paste it, and then we'll just add the input message.txt. Now we can do another ls just to make sure that our file has arrived where we want it. So let's double check that. And I forgot the leading /. There we go, and now we have our input message text in the correct directory. Now that we have our volume created, and we also have put a file into our volume into the mount point directory, let's go ahead and take a look at the Docker image that we'll be creating. It'll be a very simple, super simple actually, straightforward Alpine image for this demo. And all we're doing here is we're actually creating a data directory, and I'll create it right on the root. And the reason why I do that is so that I can mount my volume to this data directory. So let's take a look how that is done. So first we'll need to go ahead and we need to actually build our Docker image. So let me clear my screen. Let's make sure I'm in the right directory. Here's my Docker file. So I'll just do a simple docker build dot. The Docker file is in this directory, so I just donate it with the dot to current directory, and I will tag this just with volume demo version 1.0. And that's all I will do. I will hit enter. It will build my image. So now that I have my image, I can go ahead and do a test to make sure that this mount point really will work, that our volume will be mounted. And the way that you would mount a volume to a Docker container is by running it. So Docker run. I'm running it in interactive mode. I want to remove everything once the container stops. And now we need to donate it with a -v. Not donate it, denote it with a -v. So with a V flag for volume. And then I'm telling it use data directory and mount that to data. That's all we do. And now I got to give it the image, which is the volume demo version 1.0. And what I will do now is I will run a command, and I will just do a cat data input message.txt. So what we're doing here is we're running the Docker container interactive mode, remove the container once the container stops. We are mounting our data directory volume to our data directory that we've created in our Docker image. We're telling it what Docker image to run, and I'm executing a cat command, and I'm reading my input message text. So let's see if this works. If I hit enter, look there, this is a message from container 1. So we now have seen that we very easily can create a volume and mount it into our Docker container and then read data from there. And in the next step, I will show you how we can also post data to there. Volumes can be shared between containers, meaning multiple containers can use the same volume. So to demonstrate this, I will go ahead and build a new container. I moved into a different directory here. So let's take a look at this real quick. What we'll be building is, again, a very simple Alpine image here, and I'm just running my update. I'm installing Python 3, I'm making a directory app, and I'm making a directory data. I'm switching my work directory into app. I'm adding my Python script into the app directory, and then I'm executing it. Let's take a look at the Python script that's be running. Very straightforward, just writing an output, and it's creating a data output container 2 text file, and in this file it will say just this is a message from container 2, and we're executing it. So nothing fancy here, but for demonstration purposes this is sufficient. If I'm moving back to my command line, and I will go ahead and build this now. So we just run a docker build dot, and then we'll tag this with volume demo 2 version 1.0. That's all we're going to do. There, it's doing the APK update, it's installing Python 3, so it's building our image exactly as we want it. Fantastic. Let me clear my screen. Okay, so now we have 2 images. And now let's go ahead and run our new image first using the same volume, the data dir volume. So just to reiterate, docker volume ls, and here is my data directory, and let's mount that to our second image so I can write the text file to it, and let's see if we can actually read it from our first image that we had created. Similar to the first time we ran the command to mount the volume, we'll do the same thing here. So now we just do a docker run interactive mode, remove when container stops, and then we need to mount our volume, which is the data dir colon, and then we want to mount it to data in the container. We need to give it now the container name, which is a volume demo 2 version 1.0. And that's all we do here. I hit enter. And without further ado, let's go ahead and run actually our first one that we had, which was just the volume demo version 1.0. And now I need to double check what my name was, which was output file container to text. Well, let's take the whole thing because we'll need the whole thing for our cat command. So I'll just copy this over because I don't remember things. So in here we'll just do a cat, and we'll just paste the directory where we wrote the file from our volume demo 2 container into our volume. We will go ahead and just copy this in here. So let's hit enter. And look here, it says this is a message from container 2. This is really good. I like it a lot. Now let's go ahead, and we can also verify in a different way. So we do a docker volume ls, and then we do an docker inspect data directory, and then we can do a sudo ls, and then we can take a look in here. And we paste it in here. And if we run this, we'll see now we have actually our input message, which was the original message in our volume that we created in the first go through, where we just created our volume demo container and just read the message. And now here's also the output file that we created in our second go through, where we had our second container that wrote an output file using then the same volume. So this goes to demonstrate the use of a very simple and basic use of Docker volumes, and how you can have files in these volumes and exchange them between containers. And to just demonstrate that these files are persistent, meaning even after our containers are gone, so we can do a docker ps. Let's see, nothing is running. And I can also go ahead and actually remove the images, for example. So if I do docker images and I do a docker rmi, we'll force the remove, and I'll just copy this image ID and this image ID. I'll put them in here. I clear my screen, so my Docker images are now removed, my containers are removed. We can also run a Docker container prune just to make sure that really everything is removed. There was nothing there to be removed. And if I'm now going back and I'm checking again in my volume, as long as I have not removed my volume, my files are still there. So this is also to show that this is a very good way to write persistent data or to maintain persistent data regardless if your Docker containers exist or not. If you want to remove a volume, you can just do a docker volume remove, and then just give it the data there. And now if I'm checking docker volume ls, you see my volume has been removed. But keep in mind, if I'm now doing an ls again, so have also your files been removed. And this concludes the demo for Docker volumes. This is a very basic demo just to get you started. I hope you found this helpful, and I do appreciate you taking the time watching this video, and I'm looking forward to see you in the next video.